Hello friends, so today I'm showing you how I made some rubber stamps with a carving block and carving tools, which I picked up online, of course. And the thing is, you have to be so careful because even though this might be easier to use than, say, linoleum tiles or stuff, it's still razor sharp and you can cut yourself. So I first put in a design on the block, and you saw that I cut it with a scissors to make them manageable because they're just, you're testing them out. You have to practice, right? So the carving tools, it's a plastic handle. They used to be made out of wood. They don't do that anymore, I guess. But the problem lies with putting the tool, the sharp razor, into the carving handle. You have to be careful. You unscrew as much as you can what I call the chuck, which is the end, and it's best if you use a cloth between your fingers and the blade. I think for me to get it in and out, it was much easier to do it with the cloth. I'm just doing this to show you so that with the cloth you wouldn't be able to see it. And when you go across, you have to go very carefully. Now I'm going to be putting in, this is a curved edge tool, all right? So it's for carving, and I'm trying to connect where the line is so that I don't go into the area that I've drawn. So an X-Acto knife actually worked a lot better, and you use a very light touch to get the knife to go into the block. Now you can remove the outside and then glue the remainder onto a piece. Now see this? See, that's how the curved one came out. So it's a little bit, you have to be so careful and slow. And I know it looks like I'm struggling, but the thing is, I'm trying to, it's all sped up. And now watch. See, you have to go very carefully. One, so that you don't mess up. And when you push it, it ends up sliding across and catching your hand. Now, the best part probably is, you see how that happened? Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to go slow. And when you get to the edge, it kind of flips off. Now, practicing this, I think you get a little better, except you go through a lot of rubber blocks to practice. So, and try not to go very deep. That's the problem too. You can go far enough so that you don't get it on your ink block. It doesn't get inked. I've done it where I've taken them apart so that they can get put on a separate piece, and then you can stamp with them that way. I guess the bottom line is your end result initially, until you get really good at it, the end result is going to look very basic and very jagged, almost caveman-like probably. But I have to tell you, I liked the way it came out. I wasn't disappointed. I'm not trying to do perfect. If I wanted a stamp that was perfect, I could send away for one. I could send them a picture of something and have them create one for me. So I'm just cutting off the ends because it's on the end. It's really hard to carve that away, and I'm just trying to even it up because I have that kind of a difficulty. It's probably fine. And see, once you start getting it carved, it becomes easier. So I stamped, yeah, I know, I stamped a butterfly, and I just wanted the outline to try and use this other tool. So I was using some tools to see how it would work, and this worked out pretty good. Again, it's very rustic looking when it's done, and the end result, I ended up carving away everything else, and I just put I glued another piece to the back of it to use as a stamp. When the outside was all carved and I was happy with it, I took another carving blade and cut the centers out to kind of give it some definition. So see, just little bitty bits. Of course, I'm doing such a small piece, it's ridiculous, but it does work. Watch. We'll get one done for you where you can see it. One of the things you have to make sure is you have to look and make sure that the ink is on your stamp where you want it. Press down evenly because it's very flexible. It doesn't glue. You could probably glue it onto a block. But see, I like the way that came out. That came out very rustic looking. So, okay, so I like the way that came out, even though it's not perfect. It looks good. Here's the eye one, which I think is really cool. So you can adjust the eye and add, subtract. It just gives you an even background, more or less. Now here's the lips. They came out pretty good. So I'm just gonna go through some of them and show you how they came out. One of the things you have to remember too is that what you do might end up reversed. So you have to keep that in mind when you're designing them. And I'm sure there's like plenty of videos to help you do that. The main thing, like anything else, is you have to practice. So I'm going to show you in the next clip. Oh, excuse me. The next clip, I'll show you what I do with the eye. I'm not going to do a full-on video of it, but I'll show you how I make the eye look like an eyeball. Anyway, so I'm just going to take a few. See how I glued that on top so it's easier to handle? Yeah. And you just make sure you got enough ink on it. It's actually, I think these are more better with jelly printing, acrylic paints. Now there's the thing I did with the butterfly. See, I have a little handle on it, and you've got to make sure you got a lot of ink on it. And I'm gonna zoom back in a second, and you'll see. I realized I was too close. But see, even though I had used a stamp to do the butterfly, it came out completely different. It almost looks like a flower. And if you probably stamp over it with the second generation stamping, I think that it would look like a background on it. I've had a lot of fun with this, and as long as you're not trying to create something that's going to be, you need it right away, I think you could come up with something. As anything else, a little practice, you'll do pretty good. I like using these with the jelly plates. So my next video I'll do with a jelly plate, and I'll show you. Soon I'm going to bring in the leaves. I made some leaves, and I used some of these things with the acrylic paints, and they worked out really well. So Okay, so the rest of it is just the bigger stamps that I made, and these are ones that I've used in the jelly prints, which again, I hope you'll stay tuned for that. That'll probably come in my next video. And I appreciate you being here. I thank you so very, very much for lasting this long. And I hope if you do this that you tag me and let me see what you did. Maybe I can learn something. I see the acrylic is a little easier. The inks, trying to get the inks on the bigger stamps is pretty tough. I don't know if I have to score the stamping, because sometimes it works, sometimes it comes out good, sometimes it's not. But it is, we're still learning. We're always learning on something. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this. Look to the next little clip. We'll have the eyes and how I did them, and I used gel pens for them. Yeah, and you know, anything that you have left over, just use it to do background or borders. It really is. Why not? You got them. Oh, and I did my own little initials. It worked out because it was it was straight lines. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next one.